Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I'm making for Dinnerhe as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen. This is from an act named Nujabes, off of their album Modal Soul. It's Love Sick Part 3 featuring Shing02, so we're going to listen through it from start to finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. We got lyrics as well. We have got also some provided by Dinnerhe if needed.
And now,
Great turntable, isn't it? Cutting dope.
we have a wonderful surprise for you.
Make the mic fly.
Resurrection.
Make the mic fly.
Resurrection.
Funny how the music put time to perspective. Add a soundtrack to your life and perfect it. Whenever you're up, feeling low, keep walking and we can't get far. Wherever you are. Funny how the music put time to perspective. Add a soundtrack to your life and perfect it. Whenever you're up, feeling low, keep walking and we can't get far.
I mean, like, the vocals are kind of quiet and they kind of sit in there with the strings, the really bright harmonies within the track there, the warmth of that bass line. It's a nice combination.
Wherever you are, like a movie that you can't predict, like a book that you can't resist. I sing along a song that's so sensual. Bring along a sip to make it oh so sexual. Verbally, that is making love to the music means vibing to the beat at night with the whole city fast asleep. Out cold, true words seem to rise to the lips. Take hold of a poet of me most powerfully. I feel free when the world doesn't know it to me. It's so hard to find a gig that lives up to the billing. Trying to find a reason to work out, willing I admit my thinking is wishful, like a star upon a child gazing up to the ceiling. How far do we have to stretch the truth to fit the lifestyle road and overdue? We can take it all back to the register and start all over from the canister. Let's break it all down into pieces of bright moments that pass by like a meteorite. Throw on your favorite reel, that's good to go. On the analog player, watch the people go. Sit back with the breeze and let the memories flow. Comedy, tragedy, all the highs and lows. It's funny how the music put times in perspective.
Back to the hook.
Your life and perfect it. Whenever you are, feel it will keep walking and we can't get far. Wherever you are.
Well, just the consistency of that theme there, it is kind of low-key. It's been mentioned to me that this is kind of like the birth of where like a lot of the low-hi-fi hip-hop started. And I would agree with that. I think there's a little bit more sort of energy to it, though. It pulsates forward and makes it quite interesting.
How the music put times in perspective. Add a soundtrack to your life and perfect it. Whenever you are, feeling blue, keep walking and we can't get far. Wherever you are.
It's just nice to have the accompaniment with that break. Just allowing things to kind of, again, sort of settle into place.
Like a move that I can't predict, like a look that I can't resist. The tingling feeling was so mutual. The lingering appeal was so unusual. Herbally, what is medicine to a lone soul can become poisonous. Some with the whole body fast asleep. Out cold, true vision seem to come to the eye. Take hold of a prophet of me most visibly. I see clear when the world doesn't show it to me. It's so hard to make sense in the cycle of billing. Trying to find a reason to quit and make a killing. I admit, or dealing is painful, like a star upon a child staring down from the ceiling. How far do we have to stretch the picture before pixelating the human texture? We can take it all back to the register and start all over from the canister and save it all up for an ultimate prize. Homecoming gathering with the big surprise. Throw on your favorite record, that's good to go. On the analog table and it's something to blow. Sit back with these and hear the MC flow. Hi-hat, kick, drum on the highs and lows. It's funny how the music put times in perspective. Add a soundtrack to your life and perfect it. Whenever you are, feel it will keep walking and we can't get far. Wherever you are. It's funny how the music put times in perspective. Add a soundtrack to your life and perfect it. Whenever you are, feel it will keep walking and we can't get far. Wherever you are.
I like that it's funny how the music put times in perspective, add a soundtrack to your life and perfect it line. I think that's kind of dope. It's reminding us that sometimes just listening to music, whether like it's the music of life or literal music, can just help us kind of sort of ground us and keep things, show how things actually are, take us out of our own heads a little bit, I think it's a really pretty message. It's nice and it just sounds really friendly. They're not trying to force themselves on you. It seems like they're just trying to have a discussion about it, you know? I appreciate their approach. And the first break from the drums the entire time.
Okay, we can take it all back to the register and start all over from the canister. Let's break it all down into pieces of bright moments that pass by like a meteorite. Throw on your favorite jacket and you're good to roll on the analog trail and you look the roll. Just stroll to the trees and let your miseries go. Sunshine, hurricane, all the highs and lows.
There's a little bit of like grit, a little bit of sort of sizzle on the vocal track there. Like you know, like how a lot of modern sort of like hip hop, they have that kind of vinyl effect that they put in, which makes it sound like it's going through a vinyl player. I think that stuff's designed to kind of make us feel nostalgic for something, even though we might not have necessarily been there at that time. It's meant to sort of make it a little bit more sort of homely. It's always an interesting decision when people put it in there.
Yeah, we can take it all back to the register and start all over from the canister. Let's break it all down into pieces of bright moments that pass by like a meteorite.
The occasional double tracks on the last parts of the lines as well add a bit of oomph to them. I think there's 5 different instruments there. There's like strings, there's keys, there's bass, drums, and some sort of other organ that's fluctuating around. And an incredibly slow fade out as well. That's really interesting. We're going to talk about it more in the conclusion. I'm just going to double check. No, actually, I think we've had all the lyrics here, eh? We've had all the lyrics. And welcome to the conclusion, my review of this track from an act named Nujabes titled Lovesick, Part 3 featuring Shing02. This is off of the album Modal Soul. Now, what do I think this track is about? It is about someone I think who's just got a great affiliation with music. It's a very important part of their life. And when they're discussing, you know, being lovesick, kind of like we sort of, you know, compare it to being in a relationship with someone. Like we talk about, you know, love at first sight and all that kind of stuff. But then, you know, we talk about doing it vocally and then it kind of hits, oh, we're making love to the music with our poetry, our way with words, the way we express ourselves and again get lost in the forest. And I think that, you know, when you put those headphones on and you listen to a really great piece of music, that's kind of what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to go on a journey, an adventure, eh? That is great composition. That is really good songwriting. And I think that with this song here from Nujabes, it works because we have someone who is able to create that one sort of musical idea, repeat it, take away some things, bring back others, and keep it interesting the whole time. I wouldn't say entertaining because it wasn't like super duper, wow, that was funny, hee hee ha ha. It was actually quite a serious piece of music. But I think that, again, the track is about, you know, like we're talking about trying to make a wage and cover the billing and everything like that and trying to sort of quit so we can make a killing, etc. But it's like we're struggling with moving away from the love we have with music and the passion and the drive and that journey, that direction we're going there. We could change things, but we kind of love things the way we are in a sense, or we're trying to find a way to continue to love it more and make a better life for ourselves. I don't know. There's more to it than that, but that's my take on it. The rapper, Shing02, is great on the mic. Clear flow, very sort of easy to understand, easy to accept. The flow is, you know, more than palatable. It's great to listen to, very articulate. Words come through nice and cleanly. Great sort of vocal control and technique there. No issues whatsoever. There's this consistency with the flow that we have there, and we do have but we have that kind of bouncy kind of way of expressing ourselves there that sort of sits well with the swagger of the drum beats. You know, there's a nice unison there, and because rapping is quite a rhythmic thing by virtue of that being a big part of, you know what I mean? It's quite a rhythmic thing. You've got to have that sense of groove there. But the story is told in such a way that is so caring about the subject matter that it blends really well with, again, the strings, the keys, the organs, the bass and the drums, like everything else apart from the drums. Like there's a great sense of unison and chemistry with all the elements involved. And for a song which has verses and choruses, I don't really think it has any business being as good as it is, in the sense that usually with a lot of different musicians and artists and bands that I've reviewed, I really need them to do something different at like the halfway point, to have a different chord progression or a bass line or another lead element there. But with this, even though it's a 5.5 minute track, way outside of the 2 to 4 minute sweet spot I have for my songs and the lengths I prefer, not because I think all songs should be 2 to 4 minutes, but because a lot of musicians struggle to create songs that are compelling for that long. This wasn't the case here. I think part of it was because everything was played with a way that was relatively sort of simple and minimalist. Like the strings had a 4-note line they moved through, with a half cut in the 4th bar in the iteration there. We had a key line that was quite it was quite well hidden in it. It was bright in the upper ranges, but it never stuck out like a sore thumb. The bass went up into the upper register and occasionally tried to interact with the higher elements of the mix, but usually stayed in the low to mids as well to kind of fill out that area. The drums had this kind of 8th, 16th note groove there that was like repeated and looped there, apart from when it wasn't. It was nice for the music to flow occasionally. It was like they almost knew exactly how much they could have of the same before they could take it away to great effect, and it was awesome, that they could get away with a similar makeup for that 3 minutes. Part of it was because there were changes with the different verse parts. There was a story unfolding, so I think when you have a lot of the backing as minimalist, the vocals become the focal point because of the change in the progression we have there. And when there is less change there and we're going back to our original concepts, it can be important to then do something different with the backing here. And I think that's part of what made this successful. It was just also the actual chords that we had here. They were like kind of like normal triads. They were pleasant, but the tones and timbres that we had were kind of so well niched within each other that it just sounded warm and caring and soothing. There was very little emotional complexity with extensions. There were no uncomfortable intervals or anything like that within the progressions in the background. And because it was looped and repeated, I don't think it ever was distracting to, again, what the storytelling was occurring. And it was also just really sweet sounding. It was just nice to listen to. I think, especially when the bass went up, it kind of flew up a little bit. I think you can get away with having that little amount of variety if the core is so great to listen to. So I think I basically described the theme there, because that was effectively the entire track. You had the vocals at the focal point, and the rest of it was trying to sort of mirror there might have been extensions in there, but they were subtle on those upper ones. And again, there were no sort of uncomfortable moments there, sort of harmonically or melodically. What I will also say is that it kind of was filtered in a way that kind of made it sound like you were walking home after a nightclub. And that's kind of a beautiful thing. That can be the benefit of not having a completely crystal clear mix, is that it can remind you of situations you've been in with your life where you remember those memories of being out late at night and stuff like that. And there's a romanticism to that. I think that's part of that is why this works so well, is because, when we hear something, we cognitively try to associate it with something familiar to figure it out. And if that's the first thing that comes to us, we've instantly got a sense of adoration towards it a lot of the time. I think that's a universal thing, people of a lot of different ages, because for a lot of the time, the nighttime is a nice, quiet time where there's the stars and everything like that. And he talks about the child with the stars and all that. It's sensational. And the studio recording, mixing and mastering, aside from that filtering, making it sort of a little more low key in the highs, it was still really well mixed and well handled. The vocalists were sort of subtle in the mix, but I don't mind that too much. It just means you had to search for them in the mono and the mid. But the drums, the strings on only one side there to kind of make you wonder why that was. A little bit of sort of exploration on the other side, I suppose, with the keys and organs and stuff, with the bass coming up in the middle to meet the rapper occasionally, and the drums being nicely sort of leveled with everything else without poking the nose in too much. There was dynamic range to it. There was a really fantastic fade out at the end. And yeah, ultimately it was just really well handled. Nice and low without pumping, so the bus compression limiting was handled, and the vocal take was just a really well recorded vocal take. And that's effectively my review of this track for Nujabes, titled Lovesick, Part 3 featuring Shing02. And hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias and Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review, or in the next SC Patrons video, should I say. Spiderhands out.